Okay, welcome to our weekly New Gambia platform talk show. Today is February 26th, 2023. Today we're gonna be discussing about the reintroduction of Sett Setal and the quarterly coastal cleanup exercise by Gambia Maritime Administration and partners. Our guest today will be Muhammed Hydara, the SG Gambia Environmental Alliance, GEA. And I'm here, your host, Momodou, Sawaneh from New York. And I have my co-host, Famara, Drammeh, Maryland. And Sam Ceesay will join us a little later. So welcome to the show. Famara.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sawaneh. Good morning to you and good afternoon to Muhammed in Gambia. Welcome again, once again, for a weekly talk show on the New Gambia platform. Like you said, today's topic for discussion is the Operation Clean the Nation, or reintroduction of Sett Setal in Gambia. So today, that's what we're going to talk about. And then secondly, we'll talk about the quarterly coastal cleanup exercise that the Gambia Maritime Agency and partners like the National Environment Agency, the Gambia Environmental Alliance, the Ozone Heroes, and other community-based organizations and NGOs, active in the coastal communities. So it will be an interesting discussion. So our guest, Muhammad, will take us in this topic. As we already know, last month, which is January, I think the last weekend of January, the president or executive order was declared for us to start participating in a nationwide cleanup exercise, commonly known as Sett Setal. All right. So Mohammed, please tell us what led to the introduction of Sett Setal in the country. Is it because the president or the National Environment Agency has deemed it necessary that we bring back Sett Setal to our country? Maybe because the environment is dirty, or maybe what actually led to the reintroduction? If you probably know something about it, because I know the Gambia Environmental Alliance was one of those institutions invited, before the event took off. So maybe you can tell us something, Mohammed.
First of all, thank you very much for having me, Mr. Famara and Mr. Sawaneh. And good afternoon to viewers that are in the Gambia and also worldwide. The essence of this Sett Setal that was organized by the Minister of Environment and coordinated through the National Environment Agency. The Gambia Environmental Alliance was invited as a stakeholder. I'm so sorry. The network just have to cut off and come back again. I apologize for that. I hope you guys are getting me.
Yeah, we're hearing you clear.
All right. So just to move forward, concerning the Sett Setal, that was, we recently did 2023, because like the needs came because the Minister of Environment, that is Rohi John Manjang, consulted the National Environment Agency that there is need for, the environment needs to be clean because of the environmental eyesore of the country, especially public areas, how it has been littered and people are just littering, and then the waste management become another major challenge for local municipalities to handle. So that being the case, after then touring around the country, then they realized that there is a need for a national cleanup to make sure that people start to take responsibility of, managing their waste. So then any call for a stakeholder meeting whereby they invite different stakeholders coming from the Office of the President, Environment, all the relevant stakeholders and even CSO, where the Gambia Environmental Alliance was also invited. And then we also have Red Cross and other, key relevant stakeholders. So in the discussion, we as the organizing committee, and then we discuss how to strategize it, because we believe the norms of the previous cleansing or Sett Setal days, how we used to do it, people used to see it as a political, instrument. So then this time around, we want it to be more different and to make sure that people understand that this is a national duty to make sure that we reduce the waste within our country, and especially our environmental ISO area, our public area. So that being the case, then the committee will start and then we discuss. At first, because we were expecting to do it in December. That was our plan. But unfortunately, based on the funding, because the National Environment Agency do not have the capacity or the muscle to fund it. So obviously then the Minister of Environment said that she would mobilize the funding and make sure that the National Environment Agency do the coordination as usual, because they are the secretarial to make sure that they do the coordination in terms of cleansing exercise. So that's how then we are lucky to have the funding on January. So then we acknowledge that 28 January 2023, the past January 28, that was the date that we did the Sett Setal. But the composition, the idea was to make sure that people understand that this time around we came with different new strategy, whereby no traffic blockage, to make sure that we allow the traffic to flow. And secondly, we also allow shop to open, because we realize that the moment shops are closed, people have different busy engagement. We want it to be to become more like a sense of patriotism among citizens, to make sure that not to force anything upon anyone, to make sure that if you have the heart and willingness to clean your environment, then you should be able to do that. That's why the president was encouraged to take the lead, to make sure that, let him come out. And so is Gambian done. He is the highest authority in the country, but even though with his busy schedule, he's outside also, conducting the exercise. So this was actually a strategy that came about with different stakeholders. And then, that would lead to this successful exercise that happened throughout the nation. And we are glad that, but in yes, still we still wanted to have it like in every month, but based on the funding aspect, so we either consider like quarterly basis. But the idea is also to see how best we can also synchronize it with the one that we have been doing along the coastal end, that is in quarterly basis with Gambia Maritime Administrations. But this one, to make sure that it could be like a collective one, to make sure that not to be doing this one in a separate way. But there's still more discussion on the table, but other advice are also raised to make sure that the government have an incentive fund account, whereby CSO that are in various regions can be able to do the work, champion the work, whereby, not it to be coming from the state only, state fund, stuff, but it could be like state fund in CSO to take lead in cleaning the environment, like so areas, to make sure that it will be like a continuous work, but not to put it upon for them to be going out and about to clean the environment, because of it will be sound like a political, sense of dictatorship to others, because it's like you're imposing them to do things that they do not want to do. That's how other human rights activists are also looking at it. So that's why we are still strategizing, but I'm glad it's a progressive work. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Muhammed, for that update. I'm glad to hear that the Ministry of Environment has actually managed to pull some funding. I hope this will be a continuous thing. And obviously, the government should also give the Ministry of Environment, give them support, to get the funding required. Because in the past, the NEA was struggling because, one, there was no funding available for this exercise. So at the end, the whole bulk of the assignment or the responsibility of coordinating the OCN, at the time we call it Operation Clean the Nation, OCN, was shifted over to National Environment Agency. And then the NEA was not prepared because we didn't have much resources, to cater for it. And then, at that time, the vehicles were not running for that couple of hours or 3 hours. So the business was not running. And then we have a lot of people applying for, clearance, especially those people who are on emergency travels, either you are going to travel, people going on trek, emergency situations, they have to come to NEA. So it becomes a little bit chaotic, because people have to, a day before the operation is announced, people have to come and apply, ticket is given. Sometimes, the limit of number of tickets that have been given to people or clearance been given to people, sometimes it's way too much. So you cannot even tell during Operation Clean the Nation Day whether those, vehicles are allowed to run or not. But thank you so much for highlighting that. And we think this is a step in the right direction by the Minister of Environment to reintroduce this exercise. And also it is required by law because we have signed, the anti-littering law in 2007. So that means that every citizen, every business, the waste coming out of our household, the waste coming out of our businesses should be managed, properly as per the law said. So, we have seen that is not happening in most places in the greater Banjul area. People are discriminately dumping, waste everywhere. And I think something needs to be done about that. And that's mainly because people are not, executing the law. They are not implementing the law. So thank you so much for that explanation. And then also the other thing you mentioned about the political dimension of this Operation Clean the Nation, because in the past, it started very well, but later on we have seen, people wearing political T-shirts, coming to cleanup exercises, that really put off many people, because it looks like at the end it becomes like a political thing when it is not, because this is a national issue. Waste is a problem, environmental, management is a concern for everybody, being a citizen or a government of the Gambia. So it's very, very important that that has been emphasized, that we should not politicize this operation. People should not be wearing their political T-shirts, wearing their political T-shirts coming to this operation. You should just come out as a citizen of the Gambia, that you are concerned that our environment is dirty and you are ready to do something about it to clean it up. You don't need to show which political party you belong to come to the street to clean your environment. So I think that's a good start. Even though sometimes when the president was there, we've seen a couple of people with a political T-shirt on. I hope those people will be sensitized more because the president, by virtue of being the head of state, is also the chairman of the Environmental Management Council. So he has a great role to lead this exercise, which he actually did, with the Minister of Environment. So we want to thank them for that. So I hope, more sensitization will go as the day get closer, like if they decide whether it's going to be a quarterly or monthly, we also need to go to radio programs and sensitize people. And then, now we have seen a lot of, compared to the past, now we have seen a lot of environmental NGOs and CBOs, like Gambia Environmental Alliance. Environmental Alliance is working with, how many NGOs are you working with right now? And CBOs, that's quite a lot.
Over like 40 something, 40 something environmental groups. Yeah.
40 something environmental
groups. Have like,
so now,
which is,
so it's not easier for the government or the Ministry of Environment. If they involve GEA, they know that they have 40 environmental NGOs and CBOs that are registered with GEA. So it will be easy to mobilize those youth groups like you have been doing with the GMA on the coastal cleanup. That was effective, So now GMA don't need to do much, they just tell GEA, this is what we want to do quarterly, and like they share the idea with you, and you guys were spot on, and you mobilize all your community areas, and then you spread the word, division of labor. Each community take care of their own community, and things become very easy. So I think that's a good step, and I think GEA's involvement in this is very key. And I hope the Ministry of Environment will continue to engage GEA, not only on coastal cleanup only, but also in other, efforts that we are doing at the national level, being the fight against climate change, coastal and marine protection, research, marine research, and other aspects, because it's not only in coastal cleanup that you are already active in, you are active in other areas as well. So they need to see you more in the fight against climate change and other aspects as well. So Thank you so much.
Thank you. Wow.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Famara. Thank you, Muhammad. You guys have really touched an important area here in terms of like how the Sett Setal, you know, how it went, and then the first time we did you guys did it, and then the way it's coordinated, and then what were involved. I just wanna ask some questions, because the whole idea of Sett Setal was also been looked at different angle, especially when they see the president out there getting his hands dirty. Then people started to question, he's not a commander-in-chief of cleaning. He was there as a commander-in-chief of moving the country in the right direction. So we didn't elect you to be the chief cleaner of our nation. So some of the people who on the others, you know, who were throwing those jabs because of the way he was doing it, they thought that it might be politically driven, you know, in the sense that he didn't need to do that. He didn't need to get, you know, he could be there, you know, seeing the operation, but he didn't need to go that extent, getting his hands, you know, dirty, getting in the dish, and then, you know, throwing stuff. So a lot of people think that was a little bit too much. And then, you know, life is about common sense. I mean, like, when you look at what is real and what is not real, you could tell by the way things look. So I think based on the way it was done, was, you know, criticism came from that as well. And another, you know, I want to ask whether, you know, you guys think that was a valid point, or it was not even necessary, you know, for him to go that far. And I see him and the KMC mayor there together. So another question that I have is that the sub being open was something different from the prior one. No, I want to know, like, the sub being open, do you guys see that as a positive thing, or has that make anything different? Or do you think like it took away the participation aspect, you know, from the participation aspect of the operation? The shops been open, because when the shops are open, definitely people are gonna go about their errands who are not interested in the Sett Setal, since it's not a force. So do you think that took away, you know, some participation efforts from the program, from the operation? So those are the two. Yeah.
Okay.
Muhammad,
okay.
Since you are on the ground, I would like you to.
Okay, all right.
And Famara can also.
No problem. So, no problem. So, concerning your first question, the president participation, I think because many Gambians are not aware that the president is the chairman of the National Environment Agency. So that being the case, him being the chairman, just like the way he is the commander-in-chief of the army, the same way that's his role as the chairman of the National Environment Agency. So we make him a very pivotal person there to make sure that, you know, if we want to have a successful national cleansing exercise, the president always have to lead, because like he's showing us out there, really encourage the masses for them to come out as well, you know, and also participate. And then remember, this has been stopped since, you know, 2016, when we last had, you know, our National Cleansing Exercise Day. So Gambia have been studying for over like more than 5 years, 6 years. People have never done this. So imagine now coming out again, doing it without having the president taking the lead. And imagine this time around, we did not have to close the traffic. That was also another case, because we are like, we don't want to violate people's rights. We don't want also people that are going to the market for their right to be violated as well. So that being the case, so we even have to have like a back and forth with the police officers when we told them that, well, the area that you guys are cleaning, you can close that road after you are done and you open that side. They are like, no, we cannot do that, you know, because like the executive orders, we don't have like, if we agree not to close the road, then no way we cannot. I'm like, but you cannot also risk yourself while cleansing and then, driver might recklessly, drive over you guys. So the best thing is to do, like, whenever you guys are, protect yourself by using some cones and prevent that. So, but later then we have to agree, and then they understand that, that need to be done to make sure that the people that are doing the exercise can be fully, conscious, and then they can know that their life are safe. So glad that the president is out. And when we realized that when the president was out at Westfield, we also, how the president, was guarded by the military. There is no vehicle. And secondly, how we strategize was that from Westfield going all the way to Tabokoto, the military personnel were dispatched on those areas to make sure that they take care of that area, because we are not counting on the population at first, because our main priority was the resource of the human resource that we have. So we are counting on the military, and also counting on the CSO that we have, and also counting on the local government council to make sure that we fully implement this exercise. So I think the proper strategy of planning really help us to achieve a success in this cleansing exercise, because the norms that Gambians know is that if the traffic do not close, then I don't care, and if the shop do not close, then I don't care. As I said earlier, the idea this time around, we renew it in the sense that we want it to be based on people, responsibility, not to be based on someone dictating or forcing you to go out and clean your environment. So that's how the tones have changed. So that's why, this time around is different, and we are glad that the president was out himself holding the brakes, doing the cleansing exercise. That shows, leadership quality as well, even though, there is a lot of talking about it. But for us as an action-oriented environmental activists, we are so impressed seeing the president holding brakes, doing the cleanup. So that's what we want to see. We don't want to see our leaders to be in the office all the times while themselves calling for people to do national duty. But if they call for national duty and they are on the ground, then it shows like a sense of responsibility from the president and also from the organizing committee that he have respected our call and he have respected the duty that he have given us. That's how I see it from my own perspective. Thank you.
Okay, and then added to that, so you had was this stage kind of staged, like what means planned and staged, or was this out of the will for the president to come and then do this? Because there are things that are staged, you can see they are fixed, there are political calculations and so forth, and the president himself, it doesn't embody that kind of thing. Or do you think that this is a norm or a style of our leader? This is the way he operates, or was it just staged? Somebody walk on him to come out like that and then show him how things are supposed to be done?
Yeah, actually for us, it was not a state thing, because with the organizing committee, I told you earlier, we should have organized this thing in December because we are short-hand of funding. Secondly, we are also waiting for the president to approve it. But during December, he was on a tour. He was on a nationwide tour. So we could not have that permit agree on from him, because what we also wanted was for him to also give out a speech to ask Gambian to come out on the day of the event, because he is the chairman. Because remember, as I said, he is the chairman of the National Environment Agency. So that being the case, and then so when the date was chosen again to be 28 January, then we have to write again to the president, reminding him that this date have been chosen and we expect him to come out and lead this action. And then an approval came that he have endorsed it, and he have also given our blessing upon the day. So that's why, and we are glad that he accepted our request and he came out. Maybe others, you are right, there is another political wing, people might see it, but we on the organizing committee, I could say it was a very request from us, and we are glad that, he was able to endorse our request. And we hope also in the subsequent activity as well, even if he is not there, let the vice president be there to show people that our leaders are also out there and respecting what we are calling for. Yeah.
Another thing before Famara comes, I've, because this area I have a little bit questions there. Sett Setal shouldn't be an everyday, it shouldn't be like a quarterly thing or monthly thing. Literally, yes. In the Gambia, it's very rampant. There is no legislation in place. Even if there are, then they haven't been implemented. Because I was recently in the Gambia,
enforce, yeah.
and then people are throwing. I feel bad to throw stuff because I'm used to not throwing stuff here in the US.
Perfect.
So I asked my colleague, you know, I have some, you know, garbage in my hand. Where is the dustbin or something? He say, So this is a common thing. So how can we just come out one day, once a month, or you know, once every quarter to clean? That should be common sense to tell us that we have to clean every day, and we have to step up to stop littering. But this government or this leadership or this whatever you call it haven't prioritized that, or the legislative body, which is the parliament, haven't put in place punishable laws for littering. So do we want to still go back to the same way of Drammeh's era, whereby, you know, this operation will just be done just to make, you know, the person in leadership, you know, accomplish something? Or can there be legislation in place where every day the citizens will be working towards this, so we don't even have to do this? Why go back to the why go back to the old style when we know we are in New Gambia, when we know we are in new governments, when we know we are the world is changing? Why go back to something that didn't work? Because in the past it didn't work. It was just a showcase. Like, you know, like what Drammeh was good at, you know, organizing festivals, you know, stuff like it's like a showcase. Sett Setal tomorrow, you know, make it a big deal. But by the next month, every place is back to the same. So in order to stop that, we have to clean every day. Why can't we have legislative input? Why can't we have people on the street making sure that they give tickets to individual causing this? Why can't we have good sanitation, you know, facilities in place? Why can't we invest on those? Instead, we are doing the same thing, trying to achieve different results.
Yeah, I think you asked a very important question, and if I should answer this, you know, I'm glad. I will say that, you know, we are not actually repeating the same mistake done by the previous regime, because, like, if I can justify this, that because the cleansing exercise come with different new incentive. As I said, road traffic have not been closed, business are allowed to open. You know, we just allow Gambian to be at their free will to carry on the exercise. And then, okay, and moving forward as well, you are right. You know, there have been, you know, inadequate dustbin, or, you know, where you can, you know, throw your waste. That is a major challenge. So I'm glad this exercise is like a progressive work. So since we have started these things this year, and we'll be having subsequent meetings, these are the concern and recommendation that we have been putting forward. I even put up forward all these recommendations that you are saying, that because we know that, you know, bins have always been a challenge. We don't have bin in our big site. We don't have bin in our streets, you know. And secondly, remember, if you put, you know, plastic bins, like the plastic bin that they normally supply in the streets, you know, you have to chain it. If you don't chain it, then someone will take it and put it, you know, in her home. You know, someone will take it at home. So that being the case again, so we are also, you know, calling on the government, you know, to see how best, this all part of the, you know, a way of engaging government to see how best we can lobby government to make sure that, you know, let them, you know, give this waste management project to an independent, you know, NGO, just like how Senegal is doing it. In Senegal, if you go there, the waste management is not only controlled by the local government, it is controlled by a private company, because in that way they can employ, you know, thousands of youths, and also, you know, make sure that they have all the proper strategy and plan, because that is their only scope, is to make sure that they mitigate the waste pollution. So that's how it is handled. I think Gambia can also do the same thing, but it needs a gradual process. I'm glad that, you know, even the president came out, but he will still be wondering what could be done next. And we are glad to submit a report to let him know that these things can be done. And then also, to answer your other question regarding the policy aspect, actually we have the anti-littering, you know, laws that is already in place, but NEA is now you know, trying to revive it or review it again, because there are some lapses on those laws. Like when it comes to charges, you know, the charges part is, you know, have not been endorsed, you know. And secondly, most of the officers that need to enforce these laws are not fully aware of these laws. So this has always been a challenge. So NEA have already started doing the drafting. They have started doing a lot of drafting in their in a lot of their laws, the anti-plastic ban on plastic laws, reviving the anti-littering laws. All these laws are progressively they are working. Even they even say that some say that they are done with it, but still now based on information that I got, they say that they are still reviewing it. So I think there is a hope that at least, even though I'm a civil society organization, an environmentalist, I'm very concerned about waste issue in the country. So to be honest, we have also been engaged in the national environment, the National Assembly as well concerning environmental issue. But like all these things, they always say that NEA have to send the laws and they review it, and so that they can endorse it, so that it can be part of our law book. So that's why NEA we always also engage NEA to make sure that let them revive it and review it. So I'm glad that all these things are recommendations that we have been given to the agency, and I'm sure they say that under the leadership of the new executive director, that is Dr. Baji, we are optimistic that there is a hope of in a move of in the right direction. So I believe progressively we will definitely reach there, and I will repeat again, this year national cleansing exercise is different from the last regime way of doing things, because as I said, we are not counting on citizen support 100%, because we are counting on the military force. That's how it was strategized. Military, we are taking the main environmental ISO area to make sure that people have that mindset that even though there is no bin, but make sure that do not litter the waste, or make sure that the waste that you have, you can go with it home. And even me myself, even though have not been to Europe, but I cannot remember where I even litter on the street. I only put waste in my bag, or either in my pocket, or even in the car that I am, because I'm already used to it. So I think it's about training our mindset, so it's about we trying to raise more awareness so that people can know how to manage their waste. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, Mohammed.
Let Famara comes, then I will come with other questions. Yeah.
Thank you, Sawaneh, for that brilliant questions, because you raised a very important questions here. First of all, let me say the president was leading by example, and that's what we expected from him as the head of state. If we feel that environment is a concern and the ministry has taken up the initiative to clean the environment, the ministry will definitely report to the Office of the President, Office of the President being the chairman of the Environmental Management Council. So that's why the president responded, and he doesn't have to be in every single cleanup exercise, and he can just wake up and, and just come and see how people are doing. Because sometimes if people know the president is coming, you can see a large turnout coming out because they know the president is going to come. But maybe when they are not coming, or he's not expecting they are coming, whether the same people will turn out or not. So the president can make a spot visit announce on this particular day. Instead of going to KMC, he can say, okay, let me go to Brikama and see how the Brikama people are doing when it's a Sett Setal day, so that he can have an interaction with people not expecting him. Sometimes, it has its advantage and disadvantage, because when the president leads something, people will see to that definitely it's a national issue, and it's something that the president even has to leave State House to come and lead this exercise. So therefore, next time I will also do it. You understand? So, I think it's a good idea. The other point that you mentioned, Sawaneh, is we are putting too much in recovering waste, but we are not putting so much effort in recycling and reuse, to reuse some of these materials. Because some of the materials can be recycled, some of them we can use them again. But you'll see that we don't do much effort on those two parts. And then we just go put effort on recovery. Like when the dirty things come all over, then we go and, get caterpillars, bring soldiers and bring people to clean. Yes, we can do a national cleanup, but you will all go and dump it somewhere. So if there is no equipment to collect, or there is no funding to collect those waste, or where those wastes are even going, because some areas, dump site is a problem right now. They don't have a space for dump site. If you go to some communities, they are struggling to get a dump site, So I think the whole law should look at the anti-littering law is good, but also we need to have a waste management strategy. A strategy will say that the municipalities, the councils, the area councils should be responsible for their own municipality, okay? NEA should not be coming and tell them, you need to do this. The council should be ready to do that. How they're going to do that is the strategy will spell out what are the roles of the council going to be, what the role of the CBOs is going to be, and what the role of the people are going to be, because people are paying taxes to the council to get their waste collected. So if the waste is not collected and they are paying taxes to the council, then it is the responsibility of the council to do that. If the council fails to do what they're supposed to do, then NEA now has a mandate or responsibility to say KMC or Banjul or Brikama, you are not doing your job properly, and then we are going to fine you. We're going to hold you accountable. That way, NEA can charge Brikama Area Council or fine Banjul City Council, because one, people are paying their taxes. Two, according to the strategy, we have already spelled out how this waste should be managed and be collected. And also, we need to make sure our dump sites are also, properly, managed. You don't just come and throw it like that. Like in Banjul, for example, their dump site is very close to the marine ecosystem. All right, and these are the very area where oyster collection is being done. I remember in one of the projects, I think it was the Sustainable Fisheries Project that the USAID funded some time ago. We call it locally Banafa Project. So in Banafa Project, there was a component of sanitation. All right. So we used to go collect water samples from oyster landing sites. All right, to see how dirty the waters are in those areas. So you can imagine in Banjul, behind the prison where they have the dump site, that area, the water is more polluted than other areas along the Banjul, because one, the dump site was very close, and also two, there was a small community there called Dangan or Ndamban, whatever. I think they are there. I forgot the name of the community. There's a small, you see where they used to
Nangan.
Dump, huh? Yeah, there's a small, there's a name of the community. I forgot about them. Yeah. So those community too, they have some venture. Venture, exactly. There is venture there. So in venture, the communities, they are rearing some pigs. So they have some pig pens. Those pig pens are also very close to the water body. So the urine and the feces coming from the pig, when it rains, it will all go down into those wetland ecosystem. And that's the same area where we collect oyster, or even that water can flow and go to other areas and pollute the water. So that's why in certain time of the year, it is not allowed to do oyster farming or oyster collection, especially during the rainy season, because at that time, the coliform count is very high. The water is so polluted, you understand? So once you tried, and oysters are, they are feeders, they filter from these waters and all those things. So, I mean, those are one of the things, Sawaneh, you mentioned. That's very important. And the thing is, also, you come to the streets, there is no dustbin, you eat your banana, you don't want to throw it, and then you hold that banana, you want to think where to put the banana peel, you cannot find a dustbin, So one of you and Muhammed would put it in your pocket or put it in your bag, but someone would just say, I don't care. I mean, I cannot hold this for a long time. He would try and throw it in the gutters, And like we have seen the taxi drivers too, a lot of people are selling wonjo, a lot of people are selling ice and all those things. They send all these plastic bottles in the van. Okay, when it comes to water bottle, we're now seeing people recycling that bottle. You go to a hotel after a session, you go to a program, you see ladies collecting empty bottles because they need those bottles to sell their wonjos and ice. So those bottles are being recycled until they go bad. But the others are not. So these are some of the things that are very, very important. So there's a whole lot of things. We need policies, yes. We need strategies, yes, but we also should be able to enforce the laws that are being made, because there is no point making policies and strategies if we cannot enforce them. So we should be ready to do that. The anti-littering should be enforceable. Even someone in your backyard, you see in Gambia, some people will dig a hole in their bathroom. All the water will come on the highway. You take a shower, all your shower and everything will come on the public highway. That is against the anti-littering law. It is not allowed. But are we taking those people to court for doing that? Are we providing sensitization? Do they know that even it is against the law? So when we prepare laws and strategies, it should come with communication, strategy, and also sensitization so that people can know. Otherwise, it might not be doing very good on that. Yeah, so thank you for that, raising that question.
Thank you. All right, so the the other area that I think about this topic we spoke is the
quarterly cleanup.
Yeah,
by Gambia Maritime.
Yeah. So you have mentioned that, first of all, the maritime, their involvement in this. Okay, I know their main duty is not about this cleaning business, right? Okay, so but we're bringing them in maybe because they don't have much to do at this moment, or maybe they wanna be like, not an enforcer, but some type of just to lead the way to make things happen. Okay, I think that it also, I just want you to give me a brief explanation or about this the role about this whole project, the Gambian Maritime quarterly cleanup, so that I can ask questions as we move along. How about that?
Gambia Maritime, they're responsible more into shipping,
Mm-hmm.
They had all the shipping activities, registering vessels coming into our country and all those things,
Right.
Maritime delimitations, where we're supposed to be, the EEZ and all those things, the exclusive economic zone, where fishing and non-fishing should go. Maritime administration is mainly responsible for that. Of course, they have a part to play in the environment, because the environment is everyone's business. And then because some of these, issues happening along the coastline, they end up in the ocean, and that have an impact on, vessels coming into our country. And at the end of the day, if those complaints are raised, those complaints end up at the GMA's desk. So maybe that's why they also feel they need to play some part, in terms of, managing our coastline to keep it clean, and even there is even oil spillage and all those things. GMA has a role to play in those kind of environmental protection. So they have a big role to play when it comes to environmental management, especially in the coastline. So I think that's one of the idea. In fact, Mohammed will tell you, we do have international coastal cleanup. We usually come in September. That one was organized by National Environment Agency. And then, believe it or not, I was the one that introduced the international coastal cleanup in the Gambia. Because in 2010, I was in Rhode Island. I came to the US for a fellowship. And then I saw what they were doing here in the US. And I came back to the NEA. I introduced the idea. And then NEA approved it. So we started, 2010 is when we started celebrating international coastal cleanup with the partners. At that time, Mayai was with us at the NEA too. At the time, he was the Gambia Ocean Heroes, executive director or whatever, coordinator. So that's how the whole thing was just partner. Now it's just it's now all inclusive. Everybody is doing it. So with this quarterly cleanup that the GMA is doing, so instead of yearly coastal cleanup, we don't have to wait every year to do that. But at least now GMA is coming in to fill in the gap. All right. Even though we have a national cleanup exercise that is coming up, maybe the government have not decided yet, say if that is going to be on a monthly basis. And then now you have a GMA doing it on a quarterly basis, and then now we have one day that is for international coastal cleanup. So that way, these efforts combined together will focus on coastal area and cleaning up waste in our country. It will not be like waiting for 1 year before the international coastal cleanup comes, or it's not like monthly or quarterly, but it will be something that is good. So I think GMA's idea and their collaboration with GEA and the Gambia Ocean Heroes, I think that's a perfect opportunity, and it is a perfect timing, because those days when we're doing the coastal cleanup exercise, what we normally do is, we also divide, like Banjul, we give it to the Navy and the Gambia, BCC. You go to prison services, we give them the other areas until we spread it around all the coastal areas. We even though usually go all the way down to Yiritenda and Bambatenda, because I was in charge of the coastal and marine unit at the time as a program officer. Of course, I have my senior program officer too, but we coordinate this whole effort because part of this is to keep our coastal clean is one. Gambia depend on tourism. When it's tourist season, we want to keep our country clean. We want to keep the coastal area clean so that we can give that impression to visitors coming into our country that the Gambia is a nice country, since one of the products that we sell to tourists is sea, sun, and the sun, So if our beach sands are not clean or the coastal area is not clean, it's not an good impression. And also some of these deaths around the coastal area, they end up in the ocean. And we all depend on marine life. Some of fish and some other marine mammals like dolphins and others, even though dolphin is not allowed to feed, but other marine creatures that we feed on. If those deaths are not controlled around the coastline, they end up in the ocean and we eat them and we get polluted as well and we get sick as well. So it's very sewage in the ocean because people are swimming there. If the water is so dirty, people are going to start developing diseases, rashes on their skin. So all of those should be polluted. So when we say coastal cleanup, we don't only talk about the solid waste, but even the liquid waste is very important to control as well. And that's an ongoing thing that needs to be monitored. And anybody found wanted should be face the court of law. So this is one of the reasons GMA is coming in to fill the gap. And Mohammed is here as one of the partners. He'll tell you more, how the collaboration started with GMA.
Okay. Yeah, Mohammed, you can come in on that and then just expand on that a little bit.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Sawaneh. I think Famara have already given the scope of the roles and responsibility of GMA, Gambia Maritime Administration. So based on that scope, that's why GMA now also want to see how best they can synergize those efforts to make sure that, coastal communities, because if you can realize that the area that we are focusing from Banjul to Katong, this where we have our main fish landing sites like Banjul, Bakau, Tanje, Sanyang, Gunjur, and Katong. These are one of our main focus landing sites that we have in the country. And these landing sites play a key role, when it comes to supplying cheap protein to the entire nation. So that being the case, then GMA, and secondly, GMA is the one that is responsible for giving license to vessel for them to carry out, fishing activity. So that being the case, it's a responsibility upon them to make sure that, the marine environment is clean. So, and then the Ocean Heroes, Gambia Ocean Heroes having this partnership with GMA, it came like, because they saw it after we did it, the National Environment Agency. I saw it in International Coastal Kingdom Day when we did it, and they saw how we centralize it, not only to focus on one side, but to make sure that community that are also along the coast, giving them some material and encouraging them to go out at their nearby sea and clean those environments. And then GMA, we partner with GMA, NEA, and they show that, and they are like, okay, why not then we empower this civil society group to make sure that it could be like a collaborative effort. So that's why now we also take it upon them, and we tell them, well, then we can, instead of us doing it once in a year, like the ICC, that is the International Coastal Kingdom Day now, then why not then we start another activity called the quarterly cleanup. So this quarterly coastal cleanup, that's how it came about, and then we draw the proposal to them and they endorse it. And now every quarterly, but the idea is even like every annually, the landing site area need to be expanded, because we are also concerned about North Bank area like Bara going all the way to Esau and other sites. So all those areas are also very key area, because that's where we have most of the major ship passing through, and then we understand how detrimental this ghost net could be around those ends. And even fishermen that are around back normally complain that the trawlers normally destroy some of their fishing net. So all these things is a concern, but it's a gradual process whereby we are also drawing attention of doing some recommendation to see how best the how to call it, the approach or the strategy could be taken from the bottom top approach, whereby CSO and then village development committee members, their voice could be heard in the high table to make sure that they know that now the stakeholders that are responsible are able to hear their concern. So that's why it's very important, and we are impressive that every now and then, whenever we conduct this activity along the coast, all these coastal committee normally come out and they take part. And I'm glad that the recent one that we did this Saturday, even the American ambassador, Sharon Comer, that is staying at Hydara, happened to came out and join the Hydara team and conduct this exercise. So these are the kind of mindset that we want, so that Gambians to know that, even foreigners are taking care of their own, key ecological site. Why not us taking the lead as well? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Wow, it's interesting. I think we need to sensitize our people more. People don't even know how important these particular operations are to make sure that our marine side or our coastals are clean, and then that could actually, not doing so could actually hurt our environment and the things that we consume, like especially fish and other things. Yeah, so I think most people might not even know that such a thing actually take place. Yeah, we shouldn't even be worried about cleaning an ocean, and also they have there. Nobody cares, it's some place that we don't know what is inside and so forth. But it is very important. The environmentalists, it's very important that they kind of sensitize people about these things and the importance of it, so that people can understand their environment and what impact those environment has on them, so that they can be more willing to participate or even provide funding, especially NGOs and so forth. So I think basically it is important. So I just want to find out, like, why is it quarterly? Is it that because of that's the nature of the environment around the coastal area, or is it why couldn't it be more frequent?
Yeah, well, the reason why we do it quarterly, because if we are centralizing this activity, you require a lot of funding, because all the coastal committee right now, we are active in 12 coastal committee, that is Banjul all the way to Kato, so in all these coastal committee, an incentive is given to them for them to cater for their participant in terms of food, water, also provide gloves, also provide some trash bag, as well as the logistic, the trucks that need to collect the waste after the cleansing exercise. So all these things require a lot of logistic work, and then it cannot be done like in a small scale, because we are involved in 12 coastal committees. So that being the case, that's why we believe that in the quarterly basis, we normally have a meeting with all the coastal cleanup coordinators. We discuss about the strategy plan this year. This time around, this is what we have, and this might be available, this might not be available, so that they can better prepare themselves, so that when the day arrives, there will be no form of like unsuccessful event. So we are glad so far, since we have started since last year, everything have been done successfully. So even though we collect the funding very late, but it is always implemented successfully, because people are aware that every 3 months there will be a cleansing exercise at the end of the month. So that being the case, that habit, and we are glad so far, since we have started, even yesterday, we were not able to happen to get a lot of waste from the big side, because we have now seen that the area that we have been cleaning now at least is getting better. At least those times, the amount of tons of waste that we normally found there are normal. So this shows that at least the mindset is now growing, and we are glad that even the bartenders are now taking responsibility, because they know that every quarterly basis these people will be coming here, and we are glad that so far the waste that we are collecting is now getting minimal. And even the people that we met along the beach side, we also sensitize them concerning that not to be littering, because they saw us cleaning as brothers, and their sisters. So therefore, they will also try to obey the rules to make sure that not to litter it, but they can go with their waste or dump it nearby bartender, because they normally have their own waste bin around those areas. Yeah.
Okay. Now, another thing is, you mentioned that you're doing this not only in the Combo area, but you are thinking of going all the way inland, right? What area in the rural areas are of your target, and then how would the cleaning process, how would it help them? the areas in the provinces?
Yeah, actually, it's part of the strategy to make sure that, because if we talk about the coastline, we are not only focusing on the Atlantic side, we are also concerned about the inland side. That is from Banjul going all the way to Basse. All those areas are very key because we realize that the River Gambia, divide the country into two, but we have not started the inland side because of the expansion of our our partners, because of that's the whole idea, to make sure that we have allied in all this the inland community that are along the riverside. So but still now it's left to us, because Jamie is willing to expand, but we don't have a that engagement with the community, because we are also shorthand of logistic, trying to go to those community to know that where we can mobilize some youths, have a coordinator there, train them what they need to do. But it's very important if we can happen to have stakeholders in those areas, whereby, because I could recall in the National Cleanup Day, that time when we normally have the ICC Day, we normally have a committee like this place from how to call it, committee like in NBR. We used to have one committee that is inland, but they normally take care of their big side. They're normally part of the exercise. So how do we do that? Because that time we normally have some nurses students that are within that area. They help us to mobilize the community, and then we make sure that we provide the things that they might need. Because if you understand the River Gambia, going, it's very important, because fishing activity are not mainly done within the River Gambia that high. The highest point where fishing activities are done in the River Gambia stop at Kuntawu, around the Farafenni Bridge, around that area. That's where we have the saltwater stop. So, and it's very important, like going further again, then you realize that, going Kuntawu, going all the way to Basse, you realize that, fishing activity are not high in those areas, or it is never done in those areas because of how polluted the water is, because of the fertilizer trying to ship into the water, causes what we call eutrophication, trying to create more algae in the water. So but what we believe is, like, if we happen to synthesize those communities as well, they'll be able to know how to manage their fertilizer to make it will not also affect the freshwater flow of the River Gambia, to make sure that at least it could allow the marine ecosystem to at least thrive, to make sure that people that are in Basse will not be continuing to have the challenge of shortage of fish, or neither something else. But we are glad that GMA also, we're trying to advise them that, why not, you try and strategize to make sure that, let there be another means of promoting the blue economy. Because the Atlantic side is not only where we have the water body, we also have the river, the inland. The river can be used to, promote, trading and other stuff. So it's a gradual work that whereby so many recommendations are also coming. And I'm glad that GMA is now training, because it's a newly, because GMA, the introduction of establishment of GMA is not that long, because port was established first before GMA, and now GMA needs to make sure that they are more like the institution that is how to call it, checking on ports. So but still now it's a newly institution, so they still need to have more employees that are expert in those areas. But guess what? They are really shortage of expert in those areas. That's why we need more Gambians to be more, marine oriented, to make sure that they are expert in marine, studies, to make sure that they can able to help Gambia Maritime fulfill its dream. Because that's what I believe. I believe Gambia economy can only be driven through the marine area, because that is the major resource that we have, and then we need to harness it to make sure that we reach where we want. So it's a gradual work. Actually, I believe all the community engage. It will also post that that ideology that students will try to have passion to become a marine scientist, or become a marine worker, to make sure that they can able to support the development of this country.
Wow, I'm glad that you guys are really thinking about the inland, because even though it is not at the coastal area, but the riverside, I live along riverside, so I know like how important it is. It might not be a lot of, it might not demand a lot of work, but if we can have surrogates, village, development committees that would be overseen alongside the river, that will be overseeing littering and making sure they're checking on the environment, see what is needed. Perhaps if you guys get more funding, you probably would travel at various locations and probably do your operations there to make sure the work is also done along that side to protect the fishes there, and then the environment there. So that was just a thought, yeah. But I'm glad that you guys have that on your pipeline, and perhaps you would you'll be lucky to find funding on this. Now, how is the government How is the how
Yeah.
is the how are they prioritizing this marine operations? Is it that there's budgets for it, or is it that it is below the list of priorities? What is your thought on that?
Well, we could say the support we are getting is from Gambia Maritime Administration because they have happened to incorporate it in their budget for now. It is part of their budget, but we believe the central government could do more because we don't only expect GMA to be supporting this because they need to understand how important those ecosystems are. So if that being the case, I think right now the only support that we are getting is from Gambia Maritime Administration to make sure that we continue to do this quarterly cleansing exercise. But the goal is not only to be continue doing cleansing exercise. We want to make sure that we move from cleansing exercise to providing bins whereby training students to become more marine oriented. Because as I said earlier, even people that are living along the river bank or people that are living along the ocean do not even know the importance of the ocean. That's why you could see so many Gambians are not into fishing, so many Gambians are not into maritime, so many Gambians. So it's really funny having an ecosystem that is within your end and you don't know the essence of it, or only few people that are far away are the one benefiting from it. So I think it requires a lot of support that we are trying to encourage the government to make sure that let them try and see if the University of the Gambia could at least be a means of transforming or having a special marine unit whereby students could be encouraged to understand the marine environment better, so that it could help us. More support could come because the more they understand. But guess what? Even at the central government, only few people understand the essence of the marine ecosystem. So that's why I believe we're glad that GMA at least them pushing is something that is at least trying, and we believe but more needs to come from the central government as well to make sure that we all achieve what we want.
Excellent. Famara, you have anything? I think I have asked all the questions I have, so we can start wrapping it up.
Yeah, we appreciate the effort of Gambia Maritime Agency since they've already taken a commitment as for now, to commit themselves on this quarterly cleaning. This is highly commendable because, government support to environmental sector, could be better, but they are not doing much when it comes to environmental issues. And that's the challenge we have. Look at even when it comes to budgetary allocation at the Ministry of Finance. You look at how much is allocated to environment, looking at the challenges that we are facing in the environmental sector, that definitely we need more support. We need more budgetary support, but that is not happening, And so whatever small effort that we have, imagine what GMA is doing right now. If we have the Ministry of Tourism also commit something in their budget, either to protect the environment, because tourism and environment are very related. Most of the products that Ministry of Tourism is selling, come to Gambia. It's a heaven for bird watchers. Okay, but look at where those bird watching are being done. Some of those community forest parks, some of those wildlife protected areas, some of those forest parks are not in a very good shape. Okay, but simply because the budget of the Ministry of Environment is not enough to take care of all the forest parks. It's not enough to take care of all the wildlife areas. Okay, so if GMA is taking a chunk of their budget for coastal cleanup, and we get the Ministry of Tourism to also allocate something, to train youths to become good bird watchers, or maybe protect one protected area, help one protected area a year, either to their signboards or maybe tourism facilities, or stuff like that. That will also help a lot, and it will complement the effort of the Ministry of Environment. But when it comes to environment issues, it is lacking. The environmental understanding is lacking even within the government system alone, because we have seen many times the local government, the physical planning, they are attacking our forest parks, not knowing that these are legally gazetted forest parks. A government cannot bring any project in a forest park just like that, like you don't have any other alternative. You know, but it's all out of ignorance. It's also because sometimes I feel they look low upon the Ministry of Environment or the environmental issues, or maybe their understanding is so low, you know? I mean, so that's an area we need to improve on. It's an area that we need to get Ministry of Environment to stand firm and defend our environment and defend our forest parks and protected areas, because these are the wildlife species, the areas that the tourism depend on to come to Gambia to see it. So we cannot allow these areas to be destroyed simply because government have the project that is coming in and then destroy 30, 40 years of conservation efforts. It doesn't make sense, you know? So we appreciate the effort of the GMA for now. I don't know how long it's gonna last, but at least they have taken a commitment that every quarter we are going to do this
for 5 years.
Coastal communities. That is highly commendable. It is laudable, you know, and I wish other ministries can do the same. And I wish the President Barrow, being the chairman of the Environmental Management Council, does not only participate in cleanup exercise, but tell Ministry of Environment that our forest parks are important. Because over the last 6 years, we have seen so many attacks on our forest parks, and they have been encroached upon simply because some of those areas, their boundaries are not clear, or maybe government projects are coming in and they're taking it to those areas. And one good example is the OIC Conference Center, which has taken 7 hectares of Digital Forest Park, and now they are going to give part of our ITC to American Embassy. That is going to leave Digital Forest Park in the middle, being sandwiched by these 2 big projects. So in the long run, the biodiversity, the monkeys that the tourists are coming to see, the birds, they are going to disappear. They're not going to fit in that ecosystem anymore. Then our tourism will decline and our economy will go down. The bird watchers will be jobless. The taxi drivers, the hotel, the fruit juice sellers, the craft market association, their business are going to be dull because there will be no tourists coming into our country. It's simply because we want to give an area to American Embassy. So that's going to have a knock-on effect negatively on our economy. So thank you so much, Sawaneh.
Thank you, Famara. Thank you. So I think we can wrap up this wonderful conversation. It looks like definitely the cleaning exercise and the coastal marine operations, we really dive in deep to explain it. I hope our audience are really gonna get something out of this, because anytime we talk like this, I learn, and I know everybody on this platform does learn about it. So your final take, Muhammad, if you to close the conversation. What are your final words?
Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank you guys for inviting me, because this is the means of chances for us to be able to engage the audience and to make sure that they understand that these are the small things that their brothers and sisters are doing in the country, and it's very important for all of us to join our concerted effort to make sure that we move the country forward, because we all have a responsibility role to play, because we have seen how other countries have developed, because it's not only done by the government. So I always have that mindset that we can do the small we can, and even though everyone is fully aware that how Gambia Environmental Alliance is with the government, we challenge the government in some area, but in some other areas as well, we have to come and partner and collaborate to make sure that there is development, there is progress. So definitely, I'm calling on other key stakeholders to also come on board, collaborate with us. It does not mean like because we have to hold the government check and balance, because it is our responsibility. But that does not mean like we are rival. But what we want is development, and if development happens, is going to be the benefit of all of us. So this is what we want. And thank you very much once again for having me here.
Okay, yeah. As long as that's very good way to end it. As long as there's no political motivation, we really would like to work with anybody to build our country. Because if you want to sit back and just because of political reason you don't want to contribute, who's gonna suffer? It's us and our children and generation to come. So let's leave the politics to the politicians, and let's do our nation building. And I think that's what this platform represents. and then that's why we are here every Sunday, try to contribute as much as we can in our own capacity. We are not an expert on everything, but we try our best to analyze issues and invite guests like yourself to come and then and then give your thoughts. And thank you, Famara, for coordinating that. And we look forward for more in other areas as well, for more guests to show up here and we talk, to our audience so that we can get the awareness out there. It's all about sensitization and awareness. Even if somebody pick up one thing, it's important than none. So that's why we take our time. And then thank you, Famara. I think today Sam probably I couldn't get it. Perhaps he's out of town or something because I couldn't even get hold of him. Yeah, Famara, anything before we close?
Just want to thank Mohammed for coming once again. He's always available on environmental issues. Even at the 11th hour, you contact him. Just last night, I just text him and say, "Can you join us?" And he was able to do it. This is not his first time. I'm sure he will be ready to come anytime we need him. If he's available, he will definitely come. So he's doing a good job. I want to thank him for all the efforts he's doing, in protecting the environment and also bringing the environmental organizations together, because this was something that we needed in our country that we didn't have, because everybody was doing your own thing, but we don't have an umbrella body that coordinates and look at how environmental issues should do. And that's what they are demonstrating doing. So I want to thank him for all the efforts. And we are doing together, we can build Gambia, because the Gambia need us, the Gambia environment need us, and nobody is coming from outside to develop our country for us except us. Like he said, we are not enemies to any institution. I have served the government of the Gambia for 20 years. I work with the NEA, I work with the Parks and Wildlife, and most of the people in the forestry department, we know each other. We have worked together several times. We have sit in various validation workshop looking at the national documents on policies. So when it comes to telling each other the truth, or knocking each other's door and say, "Hey, you need to do something about this," doesn't mean that we are enemies, but we are telling you that it is time that we do something, because you know something about it, you have the knowledge about it, and you are serving the government of the Gambia right now, protecting that environment. So there's no way you'll be given a responsibility and then you keeping quiet over that responsibility, and you're seeing something going wrong on environmental issues and keeping quiet about it. So we will continue to work together, and then, out of respect and peaceful, but our country is what we care for. Our resources is what care, because our country is what made us all today where we are today. So we have to give back to our community no matter where we are. And it doesn't mean that taking part in a national development, you have to be on the ground always. You don't have to be on the ground. You can be far away and yet continue to contribute to the national development. And even if I'm on the ground, what I'm saying here or what I do here, when I come to Gambia on holidays, that's exactly what I'm going to do. That's as simple as that. So thank you so much, Mohammed, once again for joining us again. And we thank you so much.
Thank you, Muhammad, and thank you, Famara. Yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. And thank you, our viewers. Thank you. We catch up next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, take care.
All right. Bye.
Bye.